Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. Let's move on to the next photo, only because it has to deal with coffee, and I'm a coffee addict. Yeah, so the image is of your, well, it's a very straight image of your coffee pot, and I'll let you describe the photo, but what is this image of?
Yeah, it's just, we got this recently, actually, over Christmas. It was a Christmas gift. And so it's one of those classic Bialetti mocha pots, the aluminum, pot that you can brew coffee with over on the stove, on a burner. And so it's just there sitting on my stove. And I think it's, I think that image is when we just fired it up. And so
it looks pretty new. It looks pretty
new.
Not so too used.
No. So it's and it's funny because I've used a French press and I've used a regular drip coffee maker. And one of my pet peeves is when a coffee maker is just like a hot mess. It's like just all grimy and stained, because so I'm a bit obsessive with that type of thing. And so I really it's almost like this Zen activity for me following drinking coffee. I like to clean the coffee maker.
Yeah.
Thoroughly. So even like the drip coffee maker, I would dry out all the inside and, wash the pot and all that stuff. So the same with the mocha pot. You're right. It's not that old because we got it in December, but I've definitely taken care to clean it very thoroughly every time. But yeah,
okay, so let me draw a few strings back in time and forward and all this stuff. Okay, and I'm only going to tease you a little bit, just a little bit, very gently. Okay, listening to your voice, and a person who doesn't know us would compare both of us and say, for example, I am kind of spastic and I talk very fast and and then you're a bit more measured and a bit more careful, a bit more even. I remember you practicing drumming, right? And I think that instruments like the drums in some ways fit a certain character, but also set certain things about a person. So there's that. And in my mind, what you're like is a person who, when you say, I'm very careful about cleaning my coffee pot to make sure,
I was wondering what that would make me sound like.
No, but listen, it's all love. And, but it's, I want to tie that into, for example, okay, so you've got the drumming is all about maintaining a rhythm, right? Either fast or slow. Okay. And it's very physical. And then you've got the judo, right? How many years have you been doing judo now?
Oh, it's been a long time. Maybe 20 plus years, 25 years, something like that.
25? 20 more? I mean, did judo start when you went to Japan, or did it start before?
Yeah, it's sort of on and off, over the years. So it probably started before I went to Japan, and then in Japan, strangely enough, I did more BJJ than judo, and then I kind of picked judo back up when I came back to Canada. So it's sort of in sort of starts and stops. So it's probably a continuous stretch, probably since I really came back to Vancouver, or came to Vancouver.
Mm-hmm. So would you say that there's a theme, for example, a connection that you could make or not? Maybe you can't, but as, for example, somebody who's doing percussion, somebody who does judo for this long, to commit to it, somebody who does the work that you do with essentially caring for other people in overseeing things that maybe they would not manage or not be attentive to, for example, being very careful about, because, for example, when people say, you go to Japan, I mean, Japan has this really well established reputation for fine, careful craft, right? As far as the culture is concerned. So, you know, from tea making ceremonies and that kind of stuff. So how would you connect all those things to this coffee pot?
Yeah, I mean, one theme might be, you know, that I appreciate order. I don't know if that's necessarily, you know, like a good thing or a bad thing.
It's just who you are. It doesn't matter.
And so I can see that thread being there in a few of the things that you mentioned, or if not all of them. Yeah. So it's even, you know, if you look at these different ways of making coffee, the mocha pot is probably moving in the direction away from order, right? Because if you use a drip coffee maker, it's pretty no hassle. Like you know, you put the amount of coffee when you hit the button, and it's going to do its thing, right? And it stops when it's done, and you're going to get a pretty consistent product. But nonetheless, you know, even if I think about, you know, my appreciation for the coffee that the mocha pot produces, it's like I've tried to extract some sort of order there, because, you know, initially I was like looking under the hood all the time to see where the coffee was at, to make sure that I'm going to take it off the burner at the right time. Right. But then after a while I was like, you know, I gotta, you know, just have the timer going on the oven, and I'll try to see how many minutes it's been when the coffee is at a certain, you know, but that doesn't really work, because it's like the mocha pot I've realized is kind of finicky. And so sometimes it's like 5 minutes, sometimes it's like 6 minutes. And so I'm like, that is not working for me, because I need to know, is it going to be 5 minutes or is it going to be 6 minutes, you know? And so I've done it a few times where I'm like, you know, the timer will go, because I set it for 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, it should be ready. And I peek under the hood, and it's like still way down there. And I'm like, what's going on here? Right?
It's chaos. Right? Yeah. It's chaos in a way, right? You think that the element is the same.
That's right. You know,
the same volume of water.
Yeah. And then, so now I'm thinking, okay, you know, you need like one of those stoves with the digital readout, so you can set your element to a specific, because now I got one of those knobs. It's like, yeah, who knows what temperature it's at. You just twirl the knob and you try to get it kind of in the middle for medium.
Hemant, you poor man.
And so it could vary by multiple degrees every time you do it, right?
Are you an anxious person about your coffee pot?
No. You know, honestly, like, I would say I am the absolute opposite of an anxious person. You know, it's not that getting it wrong would really bother me. Because if I get it wrong, you know, I'm kind of the type of person who's like, oh, well, you know, I screwed it up this time. So it's not so much that, it's just when I get it right, I'm very happy. It's not that so much that I'm unhappy when I get it wrong, if that makes sense.
I don't think of you as obsessive compulsive.
No.
I think of you as somebody who kind of, like, you know, appreciates order.
Yeah. It's, you know, like, I don't have to have order everywhere, but I like it when it's there, when there's an opportunity to have it or to see it, you know. And so I kind of get a small pleasure after I drink the coffee, from taking the pot apart right away and cleaning it out and drying it and then putting it away. You know, I just kind of feel like, yes, this is nice.
Yeah, it's a very nice. But you have to talk about the beans. You can't just put the whatever in the beans.
Yeah, you know, this is the other aspect, you know, that kind of came to mind when I picked that photo, because I can appreciate the full spectrum of coffees. And the mocha pot was actually originally a gift. You know, it's like one of those gifts that keep on giving type of thing, where, like, so I gave it, it was a Christmas gift for my wife, and she really likes lattes with foam, you know. And so I said, here's this mocha pot, but the gift that keeps on giving aspect of it is that you don't have to do it, because she's not the type of person who will ever make coffee in a mocha pot. It's just, there's this term in Japanese, mendokusai, which is like the best translation is like, it's a pain in the ass. Like, kind of who wants to do that, right? Because it's just so mendokusai. I would rather just do something that's more simple or easy or whatever. But I said, well, you don't have to make the mocha, because I'll make the mocha for you every weekend. Not during the week, because there's not a lot of time, but weekends, I'll make a mocha for you every weekend, like Saturday and Sunday.
Aww.
And so since we got the mocha pot, I've been making mochas every weekend. And so it's a whole process, right? There's all these steps, and then you got to froth the milk and then but the thing is, the mocha pot makes this tiny, tiny amount of coffee. And so it's just enough for like one shot each. And then you got the milk and the foam. And so you have one latte each, but I like to have 2 coffees in the morning, right? And
so you have to do it all over again.
Well, no. So this is the thing. Like, I'm not about to make another mocha, right? That's just too much, right? That's my limit. And so
you lightweight.
My wife finds it just incredible that I'll have this mocha that took me like a half hour to make. And then the second cup of coffee that I have is instant coffee crystals in water that's been heated in the microwave.
Oh, Hemant, what have you done?
I will thoroughly enjoy that second cup, as much as I enjoyed that first cup. And I'll be like, what? Coffee is coffee. Like, I like them all. Like, I can grind my own beans and do like a whole process, or I can get instant out of the cupboard and, dissolve it in hot water from the sink.
Blasphemy. And
like, I know people who will only drink a certain type of coffee, or coffee from a certain place, or only done a certain way. But I'm kind of equal opportunity, like
Sure. I got it. Look, we've been talking for a while now, and I just have one sort of, okay, so one of the things that I've been doing a lot of work in and around and stuff is this notion of mastery. Right? Like the mastery of service, mastery of process, mastery of whatever. And I know that anybody who's dedicated a long time of their lives or whatever to something like a martial art, or something like, a career, for example.
Yeah.
To get mastery, you kind of just keep learning how little you know of the big picture. In a way.
Yeah.
And so how do you feel that understanding, where you are far ahead of beginners, and yet you still kind of realize you have so much more to learn, how that creates a tension? Because do you teach your daughter judo, or you just train together?
I teach her judo, and probably for a few years, it's all kind of on pause with the pandemic, but I was doing a little bit of coaching and instructing at the clubs that I trained at. So yeah, it's that's a great. Was it a question? I don't know if it's a question. It's great. Whatever it was.
Whatever it was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so let's bring that together. Like let's kind of close on that sense of, okay, so if you've learned anything, or if you do have a perspective on this notion of mastery when you're teaching. So for example, before, you're trying to prevent your daughter from running into the water after she scraped her knee. You're just like, hey, listen, you may not see the bigger picture. And in the same way with your work, right? Okay, we need to care for you. And then in the same way with teaching judo and whatever. So what has that maturity or experience sort of revealed?
Yeah, I think, with, I don't know if this like true sort of mastery, like a complete mastery, is necessarily possible in any, like I think with most things, you can always kind of expand your level of mastery or whatever the case is. But I really feel like there's this connection between that path towards mastery, or seeking mastery, or appreciating it, and teaching it and sharing it, So that's, I mean, it's something just generally in my life, not necessarily in one specific area, but I've always enjoyed that idea of teaching, because on a certain level, it's essentially sharing, right? Because it's something that you liked. So you found something that, hey, this is really neat. And then you get to share it with somebody else, right? And I guess mastery comes in there because you want to try your best to kind of convey what you have collected in an accurate or authentic way, right?
Right.
But I think that urge is there with everyone, because you know, even people who are just starting out, like doing judo, like they've done it for 2 days, and then they're talking to somebody it's their first class, that they can still say, you know, share something, some insight or something that they've observed or something, you know, to do. So I think that's always there, and they kind of move in lockstep. You know, not that everyone wants to share or teach along the way to mastery, but I think that happens for some people.
Sure, but it's a very human trait, right? To sort of, I mean, if anything, I think that's how our species has really, I mean, as far as my work is concerned, that's how we make that connection, is saying that our species really has been able to progress and evolve so rapidly because of our ability to keep lifting up, you know, the people around us from whatever we're learning.
Right.
So, yeah. Okay, Hemant, thank you so much. It was really good to catch up and have you confirm that you're a little bit OCD about some of your things, but not really. You're not really OCD. You're fine.
It was
thanks, man.
Yeah, it was great. Really appreciate talking with you today, and thanks for the opportunity to share company with some of your illustrious guests.
I just hope that it's hard to know. It's hard to predict and anticipate what would it inspire in somebody else. You know, like, so for example, some people may find Paul Watson really cold. Just be like, yeah, whatever. But then listen to you and go like, oh wow, man, like that hit the right sort of notes to kind of inspire them to buy a new coffee pot or whatever. No, just kidding. Go to Japan.
There you go.
No, I love it.
So is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw.